Kia ora, Taylor. Welcome. Congratulations on your successful Christchurch Half Marathon on the back of your successful Buller Half Marathon. But what made Christchurch more successful in my mind, other than the PB, is the fantastic work you did with the fundraising. Awesome work on that.
Oh, I think you froze.
Yes,
Sorry.
that's all right. And thanks for allowing me to record this for my YouTube channel and website as well.
Yeah, no worries. I missed what you said about the fundraising, but yeah, it was pretty epic. Got lots of people behind me to support the good cause, which was pretty exciting. And then
And cause that's relatively close to your heart, literally as well as metaphorically. So,
yeah, for sure. So Ranui House is a pretty amazing, home away from home for a lot of people on the coast. And we were lucky enough to, be able to stay there as a family about 20 years ago, all together, which was great. I was pretty young then, so it was quite nice to have a place where we could go and be as a family. Just, yeah.
keeps freezing, but we'll keep pushing through. So let's we're here to talk about the Christchurch Half Marathon.
Yes.
Um, how did your preparation go leading up to the event? I know you had a lot of life, well, not life. Let's narrow it down. You had a big study commitment, and congratulations on your masters now as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
you've had so much happen in the last couple of months. I'm extremely impressed with how you trained. Might not have been the perfect build up, but whoever has a perfect build up, I have had very few athletes that ever do because they're trying to juggle family, study, work, all these other commitments in their life. And as the saying goes, if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. And you are the epitome of that. You squeeze so much into your life. I don't know how you manage it at times. But let's focus in on the training. What worked well?
Yeah, so like you say, I didn't have a very perfect build up. I yeah, was pretty much like crunching hard on the thesis, getting that all done. I tried to be committed to at least one big run a week. And I think like making sure I did that before Christchurch was good. I did struggle, like I did really struggle to get the weekday runs in. But I think having a base level of fitness and also the mindset that I could actually do hard things, kind of really led me to being able to, achieve what I wanted to achieve at Christchurch. Um, it was kind of interesting. I was kind of like, oh no, like, because when I did the Buller, like I had my calf injury and we kind of run, walk like on repeat to get that done. And for Christchurch, I really wanted to push myself and just see if I could go as long as I could without having a wee walk. And I know that it's okay to walk, but it was just like a personal kind of challenge that I wanted. And I think the training that I did do definitely set me up to be able to do that. Um, yeah.
Awesome. Um, what would you do differently next time other than not be completing your thesis at the same time?
I would definitely want to be more consistent with my weekday runs. And definitely good for stress relief as well. And I want to focus a bit more on nutrition. Having had bariatric surgery, it's a little bit tricky to feel the body at times and figure out kind of what works. I did have a session with a nutritionist beforehand, which gave me some good strategies, which I did use on the day. But again, heading into about the 19-kilometer mark, I was pretty tired and I kind of knew that I hadn't fueled myself well enough. So that's definitely a lesson for next time, figure out how that will change.
Yeah. You've sort of stole my thunder for the next question I had prepared there. What was your nutrition and hydration in the days before the race like? But you've sort of jumped ahead a little bit
Sorry.
into the race. We'll come back to what happened during the race shortly. But
Yeah.
how was your nutrition leading up to the event?
So typically in busy people fashion, I was in Wellington for 3 days before the half marathon and I flew back to Christchurch. like 12 hours before the race. Um, so I tried really hard to kind of focus on like getting a decent amount of food in, like because when I travel, sometimes it's a bit hard to keep consistent with meals. But I did try to focus on like having a good amount of carbs and protein as well, kind of always focusing on a bit of protein after having had my surgery as well. But I made sure that I had like a good plate of pasta before the race, which was good. And yeah, I really try and focus on hydration as well, leading up to events.
Nice. What about your sleep and how did you manage your stress leading up to the event day?
I think I was running on a bit of adrenaline, really. I'd had a really busy 2 weeks. Obviously, like being in a different city for a few days and staying at like a hotel, like not in my own environment. And then when I flew back to Christchurch, I actually had to sleep on my sister's couch, which, like, it was comfortable, but probably not ideal. And I know that I didn't have enough sleep the day before the race. Like, I ended up having quite a late night, even though I knew I had to get up really early, which I don't think did myself any favors.
Because you were traveling back after the conference, wasn't it? So it was,
Yeah, so I got into
um, I
Christchurch
know
at
we,
about 7:30 p.m. On the
yeah.
Saturday. Yeah.
So thinking about the race now, what was your race plan?
Um, I knew from previous, I've only done like two proper events, but I knew from those that I tend to start faster than I want to. And I think I just get a bit wrapped up in, people around me. But for Christchurch, I knew there was going to be a lot of people. I think there are about 8,500 people running or, racing. And I, I purposely chose to hold back, and be one of the later ones to cross the start line. And I think that really helped me kind of set my own pace at the beginning. So that was part one of my plan. And then my other plan was, run for as long as possible. Um, and then, yeah, it was the thing about Christchurch is it's laps. So I kind of wanted to assess how I went, assess myself at the halfway point and see how I was going. And then I would know what was coming for the rest of the second lap. And I wanted to
Yeah.
try and alternate my like hydration with gels, um, and see how that went. But I ended up running out of like gels. I'd made them up in like a little flask with water and salt and stuff. And I'd run out of that by the end. And I probably should have planned a little better. But yeah, my plan was kind of run for as long as I could and keep checking in with myself because I run without music because I want to be present in the moment. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was checking in with myself and like how I was actually feeling instead of pushing myself to complete the goals that I had kind of earmarked for wanting to complete. Um, yeah.
Nice. How well did you stick to the plan? Obviously, the
Um,
gel situation
yeah.
um, cleared up, but what about the pacing? How much did you run?
Yeah, so I think it was about 19 and a half kilometers and I just had to have a little walk. I was a little bit gutted, but I was like, oh, I just kind of have to. Like, there's no point pushing yourself if you might not actually even make it to the end. So I had like a little walking break, maybe like under a minute or so, and then I managed to keep going till the end. It was a bit of a head game though, because like at the point where I was, yeah, like about 19 and a half Ks, two Ks to go kind of thing, you could see the finish line from across Hagley Park. And I was like, oh, like it's just there, but it's so far away. So I just had a little walk break and then managed to keep going, which was great. And then I decided to take advantage of the water stations along the way as well. I found that there were quite a few, which was quite good. So towards the end, as I knew I'd run out of kind of my gel mix, I picked up electrolytes at those stations as well.
Nice. What I'll do is we'll just have a look at the data here, and you can see how
Ooh.
amazingly consistent you were with your pace. 706, 707, 703, 701, 707, 702, 716, 705, 710, 717, 701. I don't think I've ever had anyone so consistent with um, their kilometer splits in a half. You were plus or minus probably, apart from the wee one down here where you were a little bit slower that you talked about, if we call that an
Yeah.
outlier, and also the pace for the final segment,
Yeah.
probably plus or minus 15 seconds covers the and you can see your little wee walking break at the end there that you mentioned. And that pace just nice and stable the whole way through. And I think these were either GPS anomalies. That one, that one there is your walking, but these little ones here are just anomalies. So disregard those. But there's a wee, that's the wee walk there.
The other ones
Elevation
may have been where I stopped for a electrolyte hydration or something, maybe.
going through the aid station. Yeah, it's you can see how the
Oh yeah.
pace drops down to walking pace here,
Yeah.
whereas these are almost yeah, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
so momentary. It could be the GPS signal reflected off one of the taller buildings. I know there's no real skyscrapers like there used to be in Christchurch, but yeah, so the different things causes GPS anomalies, so I wouldn't worry about that. So, but yeah, amazingly consistent
Cool.
um, pace through the half. And even I know I called that one an outlier before, but that it's plus or minus 25 if you include it. So obviously not the last one where you had that spurt coming down the finishing chute here, but
Yeah.
that's always expected at that point of the event.
Oh, cool. That's good. I
Yeah.
didn't actually look at my stats or anything.
Yeah, and you can see the heart rate once it got up into the 60s, pretty much stay or it did stay there until the final spurt towards the end, which pushed into the low 170s. So very, very consistent pacing. Almost a perfect example of how to pace for someone of your speed. It's not what I recommend for someone you might be familiar with Jess, who I also coach um, different pacing strategy at her end of the spectrum, but this is perfect for your goals. It's yeah, absolutely amazing.
Cool.
So unexpected challenges. Obviously, you touched on the gels not packing enough of that. It's not the end of the world. You've solved that solution by using the aid stations, and we're able to continue on. Any other unexpected challenges pop up?
To be honest, no. No,
That's good.
because I was worried about my calf injury that I had at Buller a couple of months ago. Um, did not feel a thing. I had quite tight shins getting into it, and I was a bit worried about how that might affect my running. But I had no pain or anything throughout the whole race. It was just kind of afterwards when I was like, oh, like I'm a bit sore. So I took
Yeah,
advantage of the massage station at the end of the finish line.
nice.
Yeah,
Always recommended.
yeah,
It's a nice gentle flush out. They don't go too hard on you.
yeah. But
How did
honestly,
your
it was really good. Otherwise, I felt really good afterwards.
so how did your body feel during the event? Energy levels, muscular fatigue, cramps, anything like that?
No cramping. Don't think I had, or probably around that 19K mark, I was getting a little bit tired, like I said, so that's probably why I had a little walk. And that's kind of, I didn't really hit a wall of fatigue or anything. I just kind of recognized that my muscles were getting a bit tired. I think it was physical fatigue at that point rather than like mental or anything like that. Um, and I was just kind of, I guess, I'm quite a high achiever, so I'm kind of impressed with myself that I actually slowed down for that time period and did kind of what I needed. And then,
Nice.
yeah, picked it back up again.
Awesome. And what part of the race did you feel the strongest?
Ooh, definitely not at the end. Um, probably felt really good at about 15, 16 kilometers because until then, my longest consistent run was 13 kilometers. Like throughout my entire running journey, that's the longest I'd ever run consistently. And so I was kind of like, once I got over that point, I was like, yeah, like I can do it, like it's going to be great. And I felt really good at that point. Yeah.
Nice. What about where did you feel what was the most toughest? I'm think I know the answer to that, but
Yeah, I was heading into the end. Um, it was it was hard, because you kind of get to you turn off into Hagley to the finish shoot, but it's really long. And then yeah, it was a bit of a battle, but once I kind of turned that corner and could actually see the finish line, I was like, yeah, like I've done it. Like, yeah, so
nice.
stoked. But I'd say, yeah, the last 2 kilometers I struggled.
Yeah. How did you manage your mindset and focus during the event?
Yeah, that's a good one. I guess. Like I remember you telling me like just focus on 50 meters in front, and I kind of did employ that a wee bit because I was kind of like once I'd done one lap, I kind of was like, okay, so this is like the same again. Whereas with previous races, it's not been a lap, and so I thought I'd struggle a little bit with like, oh, here we go again. But I was just kind of able to keep focusing just in front of me and just one step. And I didn't look at my watch too much. I tried to keep that, aside and just focus on what I was doing and be present in the moment and take it all in. And there were always people cheering and signs and, lining the streets, which I found really actually quite motivational to keep going. And I saw my mum twice, which was pretty cool.
Was she the same place each lap?
She was. Yeah.
Nice. Were there any negative thoughts that crept in during the event? And how did you manage them if so?
Yes. So, like I said, I'm a bit of a high achiever and I do kind of get in my head sometimes about not meeting my own expectations. But I think this was different because I'd done a half marathon before. And so I knew I could do it no matter how hard it got. And that kind of kept me going. And I was also, I guess, really stoked that I'd kind of ticked off some big like academic goals that week as well. So I kind of knew that I could fully focus on this event and achieve what I wanted to achieve. I did kind of struggle a wee bit and I was like, oh, like I can't do it. Like it's too hard after maybe like 16, 17 Ks. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know, but I think yeah, allowing myself the space to stop for aid stations and have a little walking break, and then always in the back of my mind knowing that I could achieve it, no matter like kind of how hard how hard it was or how terrible I felt, or you know,
Nice. What kept you motivated during those tough moments?
the finish and knowing that I had done, such amazing fundraising as well for a really good cause, and knowing that I had friends as well in Christchurch that were going to be at the finish as well. I had some friends that made a couple of signs for me, and my sister had promised me some chocolate milk at the end. So it was kind of
Chocolate
those
milk is
things.
always great for recovery. You're
Yeah.
getting the sugar, the carbohydrates that are quick release. You're also getting the quality protein from the milk. Yeah, that's why chocolate milk is such a fantastic recovery drink.
Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, that's what I
Uh,
told her, and that's what she provided. So that was good. But
nice.
just again, ticking it off, it was running the 2 half marathons this year were on my big goals list for 2026. And so I knew that ticking that off, I'd, done one more thing that I was really proud of and really excited to have achieved already in April of 2026.
Yeah. Um, Thinking about the overall process now in terms of the full post-race reflection, what went well overall?
Oh, I completed it. What went well overall, I was able to tolerate the gel formulation that myself and my nutritionist had come up with because traditionally that's been something that I've kind of struggled with on my smaller stomach. So I was really happy with that, being able to tolerate that. And I did try that a couple of times in my longer runs before the race. Um, I felt that I was really in tune with myself and kind of was able to recognize when I needed fluids or nutrition. And then also yeah, being able to keep my consistent pace. I didn't realize it was quite so consistent, but yeah, I'm pretty stoked with that as well. I guess it kind of shows that I was able to kind of hold back at the start and not go out too quick like I have previously. So I was, yeah, pretty happy with that pacing.
Nice. What would you change or improve for your next event?
I would have to focus. Well, there's two main things that I want to focus on is being more consistent with my actual training leading up to it. Um, Making sure I get in like all the sessions that are scheduled, as well as the long run. So that, but also I really need to figure out nutrition for those longer events
Nice. And what did you learn about yourself as an athlete?
that I can run pretty far. I kind of think that my previous half marathon was a bit like it wasn't, I didn't really consider it running, the whole thing. Um, and so for this one, I just wanted to push myself as far as I could. And it's a pretty long way. And then as we were driving home, mum kind of was, we had 21 kilometers to go. And she's like, this is where you ran from. And I was like, wow, like that's amazing.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah.
And I know you've just sort of downplayed the Buller Half Marathon, but I want to not let you downplay that because you got from the start to the finish under your own power. You might not have ran every step, but we had a plan in place based on your limitations of your injury at the time, and we you got to the finish line under your own power. It's not like you ran for a bit and then jumped on a push bike or got a lift in a car. You did go from start to finish yourself. I accept that Christchurch was more rewarding because you ran literally from the start to the finish with one minor break as opposed to planned regular breaks multiple times through the event. So yeah, don't don't let Buller be less rewarding.
Oh, it's always going to be rewarding as my first half marathon, for sure. But yeah, thank you for that reminder.
Yeah. All right. What are your goals for your next event?
Well, I don't actually have any events kind of booked in. I'm contemplating whether I do Queenstown. I think that's November. But
Yep.
my next kind of goal, I guess, is to just work on improving my speed.
Nice. So Queenstown is November. It's an awesome course. It's very scenic, and it's really well organized, and you're off the road for a large portion of it. And it's everyone talks about it's being downhill, but you've got plenty of undulations, and you don't notice that you're going downhill. It actually feels like a really hilly course. Um,
Okay.
but you get down to the lake edge, and then you run around the botanical gardens, then you run through town, and it's just an annoying hill that you've got to get up and over to get to the finish line, but it's on the old school paved streets in the centre of Queenstown. It's a really great event. Um, I haven't locked myself in for it, but I'm considering going down there as well. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I've just got a couple of other things that I need to plan around that might exclude my availability for Queenstown, but I'm thinking I'm going down there. I went down there last year, did it a few years ago as well. I really enjoyed my time down there last year. So yeah, I might catch up with you down there and have a Ferg burger after the race.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the queues after the race are just insane, but it's always worth it.
Yeah.
So increasing your speed
Yes.
in the half marathon, or will you look to do some shorter events, maybe go up and do Westport's Park Run, the Lost Lagoon, or something on a
Oh,
Saturday
yeah.
morning and test yourself and see what shorter, speedier running is like?
Yeah, I mean, on my goals list for 2026 is to do like a 30-minute 5K, which I kind of think is probably achievable. So yeah, that's what I want to focus on for the next wee bit while I still contemplate whether I'm going to do another longer race, but I still want to keep my long runs, of course, as well.
A-
Yeah,
Absolutely. The long runs are key for
yeah,
5K running. half marathon running, and obviously marathon and ultra marathon running, they are very key. But the long run is what builds your aerobic efficiency. What it enhances the ability of your lungs to draw the oxygen out of the air, and also your heart to deliver that oxygen to the working muscles. But it also changes a whole lot of efficiencies within the muscle. The mitochondria reproduce. So you've got more mitochondria so that they can utilize that oxygen for, I'm going to say, creating energy. You and I know that energy is not created like that, but it becomes
Yeah,
available to be used.
yeah,
Um, it's, yeah, that's what sets the groundwork for any endurance event, whether it's a 30-minute run covering 5Ks, or even endurance or aerobic efficiency is important for the elite 5Kers that are doing 5Ks in under 15 minutes. It's important regardless of the duration of time for those endurance-based events. So it's a key component there. Um, you've really covered the next question as well. What key areas will you focus on improving with the speed? What's one thing you'll do differently next time?
I will um, probably figure out kind of how to carry more gels in a way that's easily absorbed by my body. Like I really liked having a 250 ml flask with a couple of gels in and some water to top it up so it wasn't as much like carbs at once hitting my stomach. So that's what I want to focus on alongside the running. But I think if I get that right, then I'll do better overall for the longer runs.
Nice. And I know you're working with your nutritionist on that.
Yeah.
So that is important. Any final questions that you want to cover off before we wrap things up?
Um, I don't think so. I guess, like to just briefly reflect. I don't think I haven't really been running for that long. And I just think, like, I've wanted to do a half marathon for as long as I can remember, but I was never in a space where I could fully train and commit to my
Sorry, Taylor,
fitness.
you're breaking up.
You're frozen too.
Oh, we're back. I
Yeah,
was
not sure
just
what's going
typing
on.
a message saying, "Yep, Zoom's just totally crashed at my end." But I didn't catch anything you said. It came through. Uh. So,
What was the question? No, was I reflecting? Yes,
any,
I was reflecting.
yeah, any further questions or comments you wish to make before we wrap things up?
Um, yeah, I guess I just need to recognize that, I've come a very long way in, I guess, a year or just over a year. And I've done some pretty cool things that I never ever thought would be possible, prior to some life changes and things like that. Like it's really just allowed me to achieve some goals. And obviously, having a coach is very motivating because I would not get off the couch without it. And that's just, yeah, I think I am someone who just needs someone to be a bit accountable to, and I find it really good. So yeah, two half
Nice.
marathons in 2 months is pretty cool for me.
Yeah. And you've come a very long way from that first time you posed the question, do you think I could do a half marathon?
Yeah.
And the answer is absolutely, of course you can. And now you've got two of them under your belt and sort of leaning towards a third and an impressive goal of wanting to get under 30 minutes for 5Ks. So
Yeah, we'll see.
some, yeah, you're doing great. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.